Hello, Kevin Nemacki here, and today we're going to learn how to write the reason to believe in your next creative brief. When we're writing creative briefs and we get to the box that says reason to believe, the key question that we're trying to answer in this box is why should consumers or customers believe us? So of the things we've said so far in the brief, including a desired takeaway that we want someone to be left with after the communication, we have to then follow it up with some proof. Why should they believe us? I've grouped the tips today into three main buckets. One are the considers. So things to consider or questions to ask yourself when you're writing the reason to believe. The first is, how does it work? How does your product or service work at a fundamental level? How does it operate? How does it actually deliver or do what it does? The second thing to consider are unique features or ingredients. What is unique about your product or service? And then another one to consider would be unique process. So a process that maybe you go through or that your product or service uses, or a process as to how it's made, but process is another one to consider. Under the do category, these are a few tips that you should be doing when you're writing reasons to believe. The first on this list, use as few as possible. You want as few RTBs or reasons to believe as possible in order to convince the target audience of what you've said in your message. The second is credibility. Use points that enhance your credibility. Those would include things like testimonials or torture test demonstrations. And then the third do that you want to do when writing a reason to believe is tie it back to benefits. You want to make sure that any reason to believe information that you use or provide or show ties back to the benefit or the main takeaway of the communication. If it's not tied directly back to that, or if it doesn't connect to that, then it's a miss. The third category with our tips here are the don'ts. These are things we want to avoid when writing the reason to believe. The first one here, adding more benefits. It can be very easy or tempting in some cases to add reasons to believe that are actually new and different and additional benefits than what you've already gone through in your creative brief. And that's a watch out. You don't want to introduce too many benefits because then the takeaway really isn't there anymore. And consumers or customers that you're communicating with, they may not remember what you really want them to remember. The second don't sound like competitors. It's a check that you need to do. A lot of communications, a lot of advertising, a lot of the stuff that's out there in the world all tends to sound the same, and competitors start to mimic and mock each other and sound the same. We don't want to do that. We want to be different. And then lastly, under don'ts, don't use tech speak. If you work behind the scenes in a business, if you work on a product or service, it's very easy to fall into this trap and use technical speak or jargon that maybe the person in your target audience might not understand. So we want to avoid that as well. So if you take all these into consideration, I want to show you some examples. Below here are ways that you can think about RTBs or come up with RTBs. These are good for ideation if you're trying to come up with maybe examples of things you could use in your brief. And so you can consider these different categories or types of RTBs. So for example, a design or feature RTB might be something like luxurious furnishings. And so there you could imagine maybe a hotel is trying to create a certain kind of experience or make guests feel like royalty, and they may use the design or features of luxurious furnishings in the hotel to do that. Mode of action, this falls under the how it works camp. And when you get down on its most fundamental level, how is the product or service working or coming to life? How is it operating? That is the mode of action. How does it act? And so, for example, you may have a software program that uses a patented algorithm, and that's the mode of action that it uses to do what it does. The third on the list here, ingredient. So, for example, in skincare, you might have a product tout a unique combination of a certain number of moisturizers. That would be an ingredient play. Process or source could be how something is actually developed or where it comes from. In this case, maybe a consultant has a trademarked builder workshop process that they use that's unique to them. That would be an example of a process RTB. Endorsement. This could be external endorsement. So for example, 3 out of 4 recommend. Maybe if you're selling a dental product, 3 out of 4 dentists recommend. It could also be your consumer or target audience base. So maybe a certain number of your audience actually recommends or likes a product or prefers a product. Those would all fall under the endorsement RTB type. And then last but not least, testing. You could have clinical testing, scientific testing that produces actual hard data that you could use as a reason to believe. This list is not an exhaustive list of the types of RTBs that you could use or come up with, but it's meant to give you a range of examples as thought starters. Use the tips on this page and some of these examples to spark inspiration in your next creative brief when you're writing a reason to believe. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. If you'd like to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you want to be notified when videos like this are released in the future, go ahead and hit the bell. And last but not least, if you want to get more in-depth training like this for you or for your teams, go ahead and check out the link in the description below. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.